Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to learn navigation within Unreal Engine. By the end of it, you're going to understand how to move around and navigate the viewport with ease. You will also be introduced to some basic hotkeys and get familiar with how you should position your hands on the keyboard. Let's get started. All right, well, it looks like my engine here is a little bit fuzzy. Let me zoom out, fix the focus. Oh, wait a minute. No, here I am. Oh, not quite there. Oh, there we have it. And I'm just messing around here, getting a little bit meta with some Inception. I have a mannequin, and they are at a keyboard and mouse at a virtual desktop here. And we have a picture of a picture of a picture of a picture. And let's take this opportunity to go over how to move around the viewport with ease and just exactly where you should be positioning your hands when you are having them on the keyboard and mouse. Here we have our keyboard and mouse, and I've taken a screenshot so that I can draw on it. And you saw sort of how I had placed the mannequin's hand over the keyboard. Now I want to show you exactly how I have my hand on the keyboard and just how you're going to go about manipulating your hand as you move around the engine. The W, A, S, and D key, these four characters, they correspond with the arrow keys, the left, down, right, and up. They're more or less the same. W moves us forward, and S moves us backwards, A moves us to the left, and D moves us to the right. So the W, S correspond to the up, down, AD, left, right. I'm going to draw my left hand on top of the keyboard, and it is hovering over the W, S, A, and D. Now I will start with my middle finger, and it goes between W and S. Then I have my pointer finger, and that sits on D. And then I have my ring finger on A. And lastly, my pinky is on the caps locks, Shift, Control, and then Alt. It tucks in and goes under the Alt. Sometimes my thumb also uses Alt. And speaking of thumb, the thumb sits right here on the spacebar. And that's my horrible crude drawing of a hand. And the reason why we have our thumb on the spacebar is that when I hit the spacebar with my thumb, I'm cycling through these three options. So I could grab, for instance, the mouse, hit the spacebar, and go from move, from translate, into rotate, or into scale very quickly instead of having to hit any of the hotkeys. Now I'm going to erase the hand and then line up the hotkeys to the translation, rotation, and scale, because those are the next important things that you should be aware of. Now the Q corresponds to the select, the W corresponds to the translate, E corresponds to rotate, and R corresponds to scale. Now in addition to the W, A, S, and D, the next two important keys over here are the Q and E. And this is not in relation to the hotkeys, but in relation to moving up and down. So you will be able to move up or down using Q and E at the same time as you're navigating around forward, backward, left, and right using the W, A, S, and D. The next important thing to understand is the mouse. When you hold the left mouse button down, it's like we're moving our body. We can turn and we can move our body forward and back. And when we hold the right mouse button down, it's like we're moving our head. So for me personally, I don't even realize that I'm doing it, but I constantly have my finger holding down on the right mouse button, and then I'm using my W, A, S, and D, Q, and E keys to move my body around. So I'm using the mouse as my head control and the keyboard as my body control. It sounds a little bit weird. Once you start doing it and you start building scenes, building environments, building setups inside of Unreal Engine, it will become fluid. Now, as we're moving around, a pro tip is the middle mouse wheel. Now the camera speed, which is indicated right up here, we can see it's set at 0.33. And that is a default speed inside of Unreal Engine 5. The number doesn't really have a lot of context until you start moving around. And if it feels much too fast, then you can mouse wheel backwards as you're moving and it will slow that speed down. On the opposite side, if you're moving way too slow and we're working with planetary scale, we want to have our mouse camera speed up way higher. So hold the mouse wheel while you're moving and push it forward, and that will increase your camera speed. Believe it or not, it actually was a couple years of using Unreal before I figured that out, and I have never looked back since. I'm always using the mouse wheel to move my camera speed up and down as opposed to changing it in here. Now, another important hotkey to be aware of is we have our pinky on control, and then I'm going to use my index finger to hit tilde, and that will cycle through this button here. What is that button? Well, that button is our local and world space. So you can be moving an object around its local axis or on its world axis. And this would become much more apparent as you move objects throughout the world. You're going to hear me talk about this hotkey a lot because it is my favorite. It is the focus button. Any object you click on in the outliner or in the viewport, you can hit F and it will put that into the center frame of your viewport. Very handy for selecting objects off in the distance and then hitting F and flying right to them. End is another one of my favorite hotkeys, and it will drop an object to the floor. Now, this is a good time to end what I'm doing with this still image and jump back into Unreal, and let's just experience together what we've gone over as far as the basic navigation. In the next video, we are going to apply these lessons as we explore the user interface in more detail.